Okay. Yeah, I know exactly who this is. So today I am number 6.
Why am I awake?
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
Hello, it's me, Itisdpayne.
Alright, who gets to send each other a picture first?
I feel like we should do a roll-off for this.
Excuses to roll more dice. Fun.
Yes.
You pick the dice.
Do you have a D4?
I have a whole set.
I have a D4. Let's roll a D4. We don't roll any D4s. I'm also going to say, hey guys, brain might be slow on my end because I've been doing the long battle of fixing the sleep schedule. I rolled, by the way.
I also rolled.
Okay, and these past couple days have been rough. I rolled a 3.
I also rolled a 3. Maybe
Oh,
this why they don't usually say to roll a d4. There's not a lot of numbers.
Well, I rolled 2.
I rolled a 4.
All right, we didn't determine who, but you got the bigger sum, so go ahead.
Okay.
You show your picture first.
So I
I'm
saw
gonna
this
laugh.
one.
It's similar.
I sent this one. All right, I took this picture myself a little while ago, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if Itisdpayne should have one of these now that he has his whole collection." Feel free to describe it for the listeners.
An easy pass. It is a Jeep with the car cover, the wheel cover that says Middle Earth Trail Club. That's
and it's got little art for the guys in the movie.
yeah, there they are. I had to zoom in real quick. Oh, I zoomed in a lot. Oh, come on. All right, so this person's license plate is, but yeah, it's got the mountain and the fellowship going. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I know I got a new car, but I don't have a wheel cover.
No, that's fine. But I was saying, are you secretly a member of that trail club since you have how many medals now?
I have all 5 of last year's medals. So, maybe I am. They just didn't tell me. I don't know. It is really funny when it's just like, hey, would you want to play? Because with that thing, like I'm not going to knock on like, hey, when you walk so many things, like so many miles, like we're going to donate money to get like either plant like 5 trees or get like 3 bottles out of, and I'm like, and then I was like, planting trees sounds pretty good. And then like I heard a statistic recently that I'm like, okay, where they're just saying that they did like a scan of the ocean to find it. And I didn't dig into this, but I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Where they like somehow they did something where they looked at the ocean. It's like, how much plastic is actually in the ocean? And they're just like, compared to the amount of ocean there really isn't a lot of plastic in it. It's just all collected where humans are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but no, that's pretty neat. I like it.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, that's a very Itisdpayne thing if he had a Jeep.
Yeah. I don't think I would want a Jeep, though.
That's good. Everyone I drive around that has a Jeep, I go, this guy in a Jeep. I had one, so I was trying to make a left turn at a stop sign, and the Jeep behind me apparently wanted to make a right turn. And I've never thought to do this myself, but I guess when you don't want to wait for the person making the left turn, you can drive around them and cut them off and make a right turn in front of them while they're waiting to make their left turn.
Did they watch like Fury Road or something?
I understand we were on streets that were a little bit more residential. It was like a back road to go to a main road. But somebody on the main road saw that I got cut off like that, and I guess saw my eyes go, what just happened to me? And they were like you can go. Like, they stopped.
In my brain, they just pulled out and made eye contact and was like, just pointed and laughed.
No, I mean the person that was like...
Yes, the person that you said, okay, you can go, like that person, instead of letting you in. They just pointed and laughed.
That would have been miserable.
I definitely would have heard about it then. Which I guess I still heard about it.
Eventually.
But okay. So I will give a I can't brain not braining, but
give
I will
context?
say not well, you're normally the one that brings the celebrity news, but today I have celebrity news. And it's just more of, I'm 99% sure you already have heard of what I'm going to send. So, but it's also a little bit of an interactive thing. So here we go. I don't know if that's going to take, I think we got to click the link.
Okay. Is it noisy or is it a picture?
No, it's a picture.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly who this is. So today I am number 6.
Why am I awake?
I'll describe this to the listener since you did my picture. So Itisdpayne sent me one of those charts that, doctors would usually use if someone's younger and doesn't know how to explain emotions, and it's like really exaggerated things from like 1 to 9, anywhere from like sad to angry and everything in between. I used to show these kinds of things at the last place I worked because I sat at a desk and there was like a TV that I could like project to very easily. So I would connect my laptop and on my second monitor would just leave up a screen of which one are you today? I've done ones like which Nicolas Cage, which Rubber Duck, etc. But this one is which Moo Dang are you today? And for anyone that doesn't know who Moo Dang is, you should be on the internet more.
Yeah. No, you need to either be on the internet more or you're on the wrong internet.
Yes, Moo Dang translates, I believe, to elastic pork and is a baby pygmy hippo in Thailand or Taiwan?
Well, I brought up the Wikipedia.
Okay, thank you.
Thailand, yes.
Thailand, okay. Yes, so it's just a very squishy, angry hippo that's gotten internet famous. But unfortunately, because this hippo's gotten internet famous, people have been harassing it. Like, they'll go to the zoo.
I didn't know they've been harassing. I just been seeing all the cute pictures.
Nothing so terrible as far as I'm aware, but it's like if the hippo's sleeping, people would be like, wake up, do something, and like throw stuff into the enclosure or stuff like that. But in any case... let's not always be a bummer. So the feelings from 1 to 9, I guess I'll best describe. Number 1, bite human person's leg.
That was me yesterday.
2, just open mouth screaming. I imagine they're like, hey, it's feeding time, and her mouth is just all the way open. 3 is, looks like she's being arrested. She's very squishy and has a lot of fat rolls. But
apparently Moo Dang in Thailand means bouncy pig.
I heard elastic pork.
Oh, okay. It could be. I don't know. It's just, that's what the Wikipedia is saying. I didn't do a lot of research.
4 is sprinting, like you got somewhere to be. 5 is very calm and very cute with just a human hand resting underneath of her chin. 6 is laying on the ground screaming, and that's the one I picked. 7 looks like just woke up from a nap kind of energy. 8 is she's being sprayed down with water and she's screaming. And then 9 is she looks very content next to a water or food bowl.
I would say, I don't know, possibly it's a combo of 1 and 8 with just all the stuff I gotta do.
Yeah, like I thought about 8 because right before we started recording I talked about how like it feels like my brain is finally like unleashing like this long to-do list that I have. And I finally felt like I was in a place to start tackling it. But then it felt like once I started, I was like, there's so many other things I have to do that I've been putting off. But I chose 6 because I think I got my major tasks out of the way. So now I'm just laying down screaming instead of being actively fire hosed and screaming.
Oh, no. In the context for everybody else, I'm moving soon. Not by choice. But so
emphasis on 8.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, ah!
Very good picture.
But yes, I would say that this also leads to, have you heard of Pesto?
Yeah, the Hulk of a baby penguin.
Such a beast. This penguin in Melbourne, Australia is 7
Absolute
months
unit.
old. Yeah, let's see. And when he was born this year, January 30th, he weighed 200 grams. For anybody that is not, everyone that's in the U.S., that's 7.1 ounces, which still doesn't help you.
I see 200 grams is about 0.44 of a pound.
Yeah. So by all the time all this has happened, let's see, he weighed 46 pounds by September, and he dwarfs his parents. But it is hilarious because he just let's see. Oh, as of the 23rd of September, he is weighing 50 pounds, and he's still a chick.
Yeah, he still has all of the down feathers and everything.
Mm-hmm. And yep. So it's just I saw a video the other day when he was just walking like behind, I guess, one of his parents, and it's just very much chick behavior, but it's like a behemoth. And then it's just like, hell yeah. I think I saw a video. It's like, Pesto's parents sleeping, just like normal penguin sleeping. And then it's like, where's Pesto? And he's just slapped in, like, face into the wall, just like frat party drunk, just like flopped on the ground. And it's just like Pesto. Which is such a great name. I remember the first time I heard about Pesto, it was like this guy who does news, but it's like the way he does it is like he pretty much does like the green screen where his like eyes and mouth come through, and he'll put himself over a country and then just be like, hey, here's what this country's saying, like what their news is actually meaning, whether that's true or not. But I'm like, sometimes it's funny, sometimes I'm like, we'll just leave it at that. But that's when I heard of it. He's like, did you hear how Australia is making megafauna down there? And he's just like, mega what? And he's just like, yeah, mate, don't know. Just showed up. Just won't stop.
But this is a pretty solid transition, though, because I was curious about the type of penguin he was. And he is what's called a king penguin that looks similar to...
He's a king, all right.
Yeah, they look similar to emperor penguins, but they can be found in some of the northern reaches of Antarctica.
Which is where we're going to talk about the terror.
Of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yes.
But yes, if we kind of rambled immediately. We were in... Well, Itisdpayne was in planning mode. I was in task mode. But we got there. So we didn't really get to ramble as much as we usually do about inane topics. But this is an episode actually about Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah. They read the title. Come on, anyone that's listened more than 2 episodes knows, hey, we got to the actual episode pretty quick.
All things considered. But yeah, so we have penguins in the Antarctic, and in the first episode we'll be talking about in this episode, they will find courage in the Antarctic. For some reason, I forget how they get there.
Timeshare.
That's right. He wanted a tropical one. But in any case, before I get too lost, do you want to roll some dice to figure out who talks about which part of the episode today?
Of course.
So we're rolling some dice, a d20 and a d6, because we're watching like 26, technically, Courage episodes, because they're part A's and B's.
Yeah. And so we're rolling to find out who gets the option of choosing what episode they want to talk about first.
Yep. So I rolled a 16 and a 2.
Wow. I rolled an 8 total.
Oh, what'd you roll on your d20?
5.
Impressive.
Yep, and then I rolled a 7 on my d6.
Oh, also, if this is your first time here, we roll dice because we're tabletop nerds, playing all sorts of types. Offline, I've been playing Mothership with some friends. Itisdpayne. I keep asking every week if this is the week that you'll have your finale.
This week we recorded the question Q&A. No, I think, when does this come out? I'm on next week's, or not next week's, next thing. The 7th, in 2 episodes, we'll have the finale.
Okay. Yeah, check that out if you're into Call of Cthulhu. How long have you been running that one?
About 2.5 years.
Impressive.
I think Call of Cthulhu is my favorite game system.
Nice.
But that's a completely different conversation that we don't have a whole hour to go on.
All right. So between the 2 episodes, we have The Snowman Cometh and The Precious, Wonderful, Adorable, Lovable Duckling. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to talk about the Duckling.
I've assumed so.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
I'm going to take that one.
Plot twist. The dice never mattered.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, The Snowman Cometh. In short, to start off is that the Bag family, they're up in the Arctic. I'm just like, why are they here? And they're just in this igloo in the middle of Arctic nowhere.
Not Kansas nowhere.
Yeah, and it's just, there's nothing in this house except a table, well, depending on what shot they're in, a table with 2 to 3 chairs, a cast iron stove, and a bowl and a couple spoons. So anyway, they're just there freezing up, like everyone's cold except Muriel. Muriel's having the time of her life, which isn't surprising.
Yeah, she just says, just need some soup.
Yeah, and so she makes this soup and everything, and she's like, oh, the fire's a bit cold. Courage, can you go out and get some firewood? And he's like, and I just realized I didn't open my notes. Boop, boop. But I was like, is this the first time Courage says no to Muriel? Because he's like, I don't want to go outside. It's too cold. And that's when Eustace is like, get out there, you stupid dog. And he's like, oh. So he goes outside and it's just empty. There's nothing there except ice and snow. And so he's out there looking around and he sees a snowman. And he's like, oh, and he's like, should I? He's like, I don't remember building a snowman. And so he's just like, okay, well, what should I do? And he's like, okay, let me just. And then like Eustace is like screaming his head off in the igloo, and he's like, fine, and just like he takes the arm, and he's like, okay, and he's just all happy with himself, and then all of a sudden he gets enveloped in shadows as the snowman's like, what are you doing with that arm, huh? and Courage like freaks out, understandably so, and runs back, and there's just like, where's the firewood? And he turns into like a frozen bunny wood person, and is just like this angry, like he's just like, rah! And everyone's like, oh. And they're just like, but where's the wood? And he's just like, I'm not going back out there. To that point where Muriel finally finishes the soup. And so she goes and serves it. And Eustace is like, I'm freezing. And by the time he has to pick it up, the whole thing is stuck onto his spoon. And he's just like, oh. And Muriel's just like, oh, good fun. And then they turn to Courage, who apparently had it frozen on his tongue mid-lick. And so he's got soup frozen to the bottom of his tongue, and he's trying to like break it, do anything he can to get it off. To when he looks out the window, which is probably why it's so cold in there, the fact that they literally have a hole to the outside, where the snowman's looking in there and he's just like, ha! And Courage like screams his head off, points and tells Eustace and Muriel. And so they go outside to investigate, and they're just like, there's nothing out here. There's snowman, there's no snowman, there's nothing here. And it's just like, all right, well, what am I going to do? And how can I prove that the snowman's here? I was like, okay. And that's when Eustace is like, that's it. Get some wood, you stupid dog, or you're sleeping out here. And scared, pulls out the mask, does, oh, go. And Courage is just running, and Muriel's just like, I think hits him with the, hits him in the back of the head with the frozen soup, which probably hurts a whole lot more than ice is hard.
Very hard, yeah.
But just smacks in the back of the head, the ice shatters. He's like, hey, what did I do? So anyway, Courage runs and is looking around, is not able to find any wood. But we kind of cut to the snowman perspective as he's in this cave, and he's just lamenting over how he's the last snowman, how the temperature's rising and everything's melting. And like he's like, remember, I don't think it's here of the different snowmen there are.
Yeah, there was the one that was like the snowman you were, and then the other one that was like a huge man of snow, and then snow lady.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting lost in a snowdrift with her. So yeah, he's lamenting, and he kind of goes back of how he's the last snowman. So he's in there. We go back to Courage, who finally stops freaking out and comes across this where he sees the cave, and he can see like this trail that's kind of leading there. He's like, well, there's no snowman. So he starts to go in and gets stuck in this, I guess it's like pretty much a whiteout. For people who don't live in winter climates, a whiteout is pretty much when the wind kicks up the snow and like you're literally blind. I had it happen to me a couple times when I lived in upstate New York, and it's just like you would just be driving, the wind would blow, like the snow wouldn't be coming down, it'd just be blowing snow from the ground up, and like all you can see is white laying in front of you. Like you can't see the road, you can't see anything. It's just
no visibility.
Yeah, just a blanket of white snow in front of you, and you're like, well, this is how I die. So they do all of that. He goes through there, and by the time he comes out, he's like, oh, I'm free. And then he realizes he just walked off a cliff, falls down, makes a giant ball of snow, and slams into the wall. And he's just like, just this goofy laugh. When he all of a sudden he hears the snowman just kind of talking to himself at this, a lab kit. And he's just getting all this, and pretty much he's like, yes, I'm the last snowman, and I'm melting, but hey, what I finally found out, the human anti-melting gene.
I like the idea that that's the only thing we have going for us.
Yep. It's called body heat. And so, or maybe it's pores, because we're able to release the heat.
Regulate our own body temperature, yeah.
Which is, funny enough, a huge storyline in one of the animes, like one of the older animes, that a character did not have pores.
Ugh. No sweat.
Yeah. Yep, and literal no body heat regulation. But as soon as I go into more of that, it will be a huge spoiler for anyone who wants to watch this anime from the early 2000s, late 90s. So
spoilers.
Yeah. It shouldn't be all that hard to figure out, because if I'm talking about it, it's like one of 3 or 4. So anyway, he's like, yep, this is what I need. And it's literally just like a spigot that he's going to stick on top of their head to just open it up. And like Courage like has a mental image of Muriel just being turned into like a ball of sweat pretty much, and just like becoming no more. So he's like, I gotta stop this, and he goes out and runs. And while I don't think the snowman is chasing him at this point. I think he's just running away, and then he goes on like some thin ice, and the ice cracks, and he falls into the ice, and he becomes...
I don't think the snowman's aware of him yet.
Yeah. And so... But like close to the same time, the snowman leaves to go kidnap Eustace and Muriel. That's why Courage is like, oh no! And he goes and between there, after he falls into the lake, it cuts to the snowman like looking at the igloo. It cuts back to Courage. It's now nighttime, and he has a pickaxe, and he's like, yeah, it's surprising how much I actually have to do this. Or you'd be surprised how many times I actually have to do this. And I'm like, more than once? And so, yeah, he breaks the ice. And then he makes his way all the way there to find that nobody's left in the cabin. And so he heads back, and he's like, well, how am I going to head back? And he just gets in this almost like Santa sleigh, just says, mush. And then gets out and starts pulling it.
Himself, yeah.
Yeah. And he starts pulling, it goes down a hill where it starts gaining speed. To where he's like, oh no, and just starts screaming his head off as he's being chased. Literally put himself in the situation as the sled is now faster than him. And he goes, like, he gets in the sled, launches himself down. We kind of cut back now, to Eustace and Muriel tied up in the snowman's lair as he's like, I'm here to get the gene, as they both have the spigots on their head. And he gets Eustace's, and he's like, yes, I can finally do it. And Courage goes, and at this point I think launches through a wall and into the snow, through the snowman, to where he drops
right through his chest.
Yeah. And then he drops the anti-melting gene, to where he's like, you stupid dog, do you realize how long it took me to do this? And Eustace is just like, that's what I tell him all the time, you stupid dog. You stupid dog. And Courage is like, oh man. And so he's like, well, good thing I have another, as he turns to Muriel, and he's like, and then he looks at Eustace, just like, and for you, well, tough luck. and so Courage pretty much is able to, I forget what he does to distract or trick the snowman, but he grabs Muriel and then grabs Eustace, gets out into the sled, starts going down the hill. The snowman's chasing him, creating like almost like an avalanche, to where the sled stops back on the ice. Courage breaks the ice, and the snowman is unable to catch up. Or he's able to catch up, but it's like he can't stop and falls into the water, where he comes up like a big frozen popsicle. And he's like, the world's first frozen snowman. I like it. and at that point, it's just Muriel and Courage and a puddle with glasses on the ice, just looking out in the sunset. And they're just like, oh man, what do we do now? And just, like a boat shows up, takes them home. And it closes with them all back in their house, with Eustace in a big glass bowl with his glasses just floating in there, and he just gurgles, stupid dog.
You forgot the part that grossed me out is when Courage takes out the sponge, because Muriel's like, what to do with him now? And Courage sops up Eustace, and it's like, I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
but he stayed just warm enough not to freeze. So good for him.
It's just the anti-melting, not the anti-body heat.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, also, while watching this episode, all I could think of is Jack Frost.
Oh, that's really cursed. I just kept thinking of the Sean Connery voice that they were putting on.
Yep. Well, that's
the name's Man, Snowman.
Yeah. That's what they said. The one scene the snowman's heard saying the name's Man, Snowman, is an allusion to Sean Connery's role as James Bond.
Yeah, but like you mentioned at the beginning of this, looking at the trivia, you yawned, now I'm yawning. No, it's a whole thing. But this is
now
the first...
the audience is yawning. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Like you said, this is the first episode that's not in nowhere, just a different nowhere. Just the Arctic nowhere instead of nowhere, Kansas. And it says the name of this episode is a reference to a 1946 play, The Iceman Cometh. But otherwise, I think you covered pretty much everything.
Gotta put one foot in front of the other. The Iceman Cometh, a play written by American playwright Eugene O'Neill in 1939, first published in 1946 as it premiered on Broadway. We have a list of characters.
Or any of them, the Snowman. Or I guess it'd be the Iceman.
I don't see any of the Iceman, but I just saw one because I saw the last thing. And this is Rocky Piogi, night bartender, who is paid little and makes his living mostly by allowing Pearl and Margie to stay at the bar in exchange for a substantial cut of the money that they make from prostitution. Although he despises being called a pimp. All I read was the last line. I'm like, what?
What does that have to do with the title?
I don't know.
Iceman. Oh, wait. Is it... Okay, never mind. Sorry, when I mentioned Iceman and then they said it was the Snowman, I thought it was ice-related, not, like, maybe something else that they call ice. Anyway, now that I'm thoroughly confused, are you ready to talk about a particular duckling?
I'm still reading about the Iceman. Where'd he go? Get out of here. Is this duckling at all precious, adorable, or possibly lovable?
Also
maybe
wonderful.
A little bit. Oh yeah, I missed it.
Yeah. So, yeah, Snowman Cometh was the first part of this episode. The second part of this episode is, as Itisdpayne said, the precious, wonderful, adorable, lovable duckling. So in this one, we basically have Courage is out and about and finds a bird's nest and sees that a lot of them seem to have hatched, but there's one egg left. And Courage decides he's going to give it a good, lovable home and take care of it. But as soon as he gets inside of the house, Eustace is complaining that there are no eggs to make breakfast with. So he takes the egg from Courage, breaks it open, and this little black duckling pops out and burns its butt on the hot pan that Eustace had put some butter on. And he starts yelling at Courage, saying that he brought him a rotten egg. How dare he? He's a stupid dog. You know, Eustace things. And the duck, when it hatched, even though his butt got burnt, started calling Eustace Mama. And as soon as he saw that Eustace hates Courage, proceeded to beat up Courage to gain the approval of Eustace. I think the first thing the duckling does is put the giant boot on and kicks Courage in the leg.
Yeah, he's just like, let me.
Yeah, and to which we see Courage ends up with a massive cast, like bigger than his own body, and he's like sitting on a pillow in the living room. And Eustace is sitting there with his newspaper, and Muriel's trying to be sweet and it's like, here's your tea, darling. And the duck is extremely jealous of Muriel for even being close to Eustace. So he takes the tea and like throws it across the room and brings out like this catering tray with like little finger sandwiches and a fancy teapot and everything. And Eustace is like, what? And he proceeds to like feed him all of this stuff and give him fancy tea. And Eustace is like, I think I can get used to this. Also, I think I missed a part. I think right before this, wasn't the duck also like removing his shoes and like massaging his feet and giving him house slippers?
Yes.
Yeah, so, like, Courage sees that the duck is now mean to Muriel, tangentially. So Courage tries to pull the duck aside and, like, lecture him, like, you can't just throw the tea over there. And he's, like, babbling at him. And Eustace is like, you stay away from that duck. You don't put a finger on him. And the duck proceeds to take the teacup that Muriel gave Eustace. And the duckling takes the teacup and smashes it on Courage's head and gets him stuck. So he, like, waddles over to Muriel, crying. And she's like, how'd you get a teacup on your head? And Courage babbles. And she's like, not the... what is she? The mouthful of words. Not the precious, wonderful, adorable, lovable duckling. Anyone but him. So she doesn't believe it. And helps Courage remove it from the top of his head. But they had shaped his head to fit the teacup, and I went, did nobody think about what they drew? Especially with the color that Courage is.
Nope.
But, so
he's a mushroom.
Yeah, that's all that it is. So, and then what is the next sequence? I'm trying to remember the gap, because I did watch these pretty late last night. There's, like, nothing on the wiki about it.
I just watched. It says that, the tea, and then cutting the rocking chair.
Oh, yes. So then Courage ends up catching the Duckling trying to destroy Muriel's rocking chair while she's on it. And this episode turns into the hijinks of, like, Courage always looking like the bad guy because he takes it away from the duck in the middle of him doing a terrible act. And then everyone yells at Courage when Courage was just trying to stop it. So, yeah, so the Duckling is trying to cut off the legs of the rocking chair while Muriel's in it. And Eustace sees, and he yells at Courage and starts to kick Courage out of the house. And the Duckling gets free reign to do whatever he wants. And Courage, being Courage, has to save Muriel, and only Muriel. He doesn't care what happens to Eustace. Buries his way up through the bottom of the house, and as soon as he finds his way back into the living room, he sees that the duck is carrying like a bag of cement up the stairs. And then Courage tries to, like, cut him off, but he can't cut him off, and instead sees that the Duckling is dumping cement in Muriel's bathtub. And they start proceeding to fight over the bag of cement. And the duck screams, "Mama!" And Eustace sprints up the stairs into the bathroom. And he sees that Muriel's in the bathtub. And he averts his eyes. And I sat there, I was like, that's his wife. But yes, he averts his eyes. And Muriel's embarrassed and screams and is mad at everybody for seeing her like that. And she runs off covered in bubbles. Mm-hmm. And then Courage ends up in the tub. And before he can, like, hop back out, the Eustace throw him in or the duck throws him in? I forget which one.
The duck throws him in.
The duck. And he ends up in the bathtub, and when he tries to run out of it, the cement hardens, and all you see is Courage's eyes shifting back and forth at the duck, and the duck's like, "Mama!" So Courage is once again kicked out of the house. And then I think at this point, when Courage finally makes his way back in, we see Eustace wearing, like, noise-canceling headphones and listening to... Oh, no, not yet. There's one more sequence. They're at breakfast.
Yes.
And Eustace is given pancakes by Muriel, and he's talking about how much he loves these pancakes, and is, like, so entranced by pancakes, he doesn't see anything else around him. And the Duckling proceeds to set up a fork with an anvil hanging from it. And Muriel goes to sit down, and it's her fork that's been rigged up to this giant anvil that will crush her if she lifts the fork up at all. Really amazing physics. I don't know how it works, but it works. And the duck is just sitting there on the table waiting for Muriel, like frothing at the mouth, waiting for the moment that she's gonna, like, end up squashed by a giant anvil. But she sits down, she's like, "Oh, butter." And the duck comes over and says, "Here's your freaking butter." She's like, she reaches for the fork. "Oh, tea." And he's like, "Oh, here's your stinking tea." Pours her a cup of tea. And then she reaches for the fork and she goes, "Oh, wait, syrup." And he comes over and he's like, "Here, is this the syrup?" And he pours, like, too much syrup to the point where you don't see the pancakes anymore. And she's like, "Ah, perfect." And just as she starts to grab the fork, Courage runs in and proceeds to, like, push her off of the chair and tries to hold onto the table and the fork at the same time to keep the anvil from falling.
Which, and then, once again, that's a really heavy, sturdy table to, like, it's very connected.
Yeah. And then the duck ends up hopping onto the anvil, which I don't know why he didn't just do this in the first place and, like, snip it while Muriel was underneath. But he gets on the anvil and tries to, like, jump up and down, and it's not enough to get Courage to let go. So he takes the bottle of syrup and starts to, like, drop it down the line. And Courage just, like, laps it up with his tongue, trying to hold on for dear life, and is eating syrup at, like, lightning speed.
While everyone's just watching him.
Yeah, Eustace just loves his pancakes. And then when that doesn't work, the duck proceeds to throw the syrup bottle, and that gets Courage to, like, let go of the anvil. And he does his classic scream where he's not really a dog anymore. He just looks like a splat with his mouth open and his arms and legs spread out. And it has that, like, moment of ease where you're like, oh, maybe something will happen so he doesn't get slammed by the anvil. No, he just gets slammed all the way down to the basement floor.
That was a murder.
It was a murder. So, well, that's what the duck wanted the whole time, so I guess it works for him. So, yeah, so when Courage finally, like, weasels his way out of all of that, then he makes it to the living room and sees that Eustace is, like, noise-canceling headphones and is, like, jamming out in a big cozy robe and his cozy slippers and everything. And Courage hears Muriel And because Muriel's screaming, the duck like covers her mouth, and it's just a lot of help, you not so good, not so sweet, not so perfect duck, you naughty duckling, and things like that. And Courage runs up to the attic to see that the duck is preparing a massive rocket with a countdown timer on it to send Muriel out the window and into space. And then the duck gets his own wing caught in some like side panel he was working on, and he's struggling with it. And while he struggles with that, Courage is able to bite through the ropes to free Muriel with some time to spare. And Courage and Muriel kind of just stand there and stare at the duck for a few seconds. And Courage is like, I can't just let him like hurt himself like this. So Courage, with the last few seconds, tries to help the duck pull his wing out from the side door. And to which Eustace... while Courage is trying to free Muriel, the duck says "Mama" one more time, which somehow gets through all of like Eustace's headphones and loud music for him to like...
The only time he listens.
Yeah, and he leaps up and starts to run up the stairs, and it's in those final moments when Courage is trying to pull the duck off of the rocket, and Eustace pushes Courage away and ends up stuck to the rocket with the duck, and they get sent to the moon. And then while on the moon, the duckling goes, well, I guess this isn't so bad, as he's taking care of Eustace.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything else?
No, that was pretty much it.
I almost missed the breakfast scene, which was a pretty important one.
Yeah. I will say, this seems to be the only episode for a while that where Courage isn't able to have almost perfect communication with Eustace and Muriel.
Yeah, he blabbers a lot. Like, for a long time, there's, like, one scene that felt like full minutes of Courage just going...
Yeah, in the version of my DVDs, for some reason, the subtitles are on, and I can't turn them off in any function.
Oh.
So, it's just... all it said for that part is Courage babbles.
Yeah, that's about right.
And then, pretty much everyone... the confusions in this is Courage states that he typically likes ducks, which one of his main villains is LeQuack.
But he had the Duck Brothers that he got along with.
There is that.
Oh yeah, but he does say, like, man, I usually love ducks, but I can make an exception here, I think is the quote.
And then I'm just laughing at, like, the comments on this wiki where it's just like, yes, now that's a precious, wonderful, adorable, lovable duckling. Oh, now that, everything I just said, really has to go. And then someone else said, this explains why Eustace and Muriel don't have a child. Eustace can't even look at Muriel without clothes on.
That's what I was joking about.
Yep. And then the other one's just silly.
It's too literal.
Yep.
I do like this trivia part. I don't think this is really considered trivia, and this seems more of like an opinion, but it says, the duck follows the trope of a yandere. The yandere shows affection for one person, but is deadly to others. I don't think you need to put anime tropes onto this little duck.
It started it.
He was the beginning of all of it?
Yes, he was the original whatever. Yeah.
Do you have anything you would like to add about the duck? Or I guess I could ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If you had a duck that was extremely nice to you, but terrible to everybody else around you, would you keep the duck?
Well, I gotta eat dinner eventually, so yeah, I'll keep it.
The duck follows you around on dates. Whenever your girlfriend asks for something, the duck immediately, like, threatens to kill her.
That's, I don't know. Like, I would say if this is, like, pre-relationship me, I've been like, yeah, heck with other people. But now that the girlfriend comes over and is like, it's not just me in the house some days, and it's just like, yeah, that would get old fast. Now,
don't mind him. He's only mean if you're nice to me. Just don't be nice to me. Or, no, he is mean if you're nice, and even more mean if you're mean. Yeah. So, yeah, there's no winning.
Yeah, so it would be fun to leave the duck to deal with these landlords. Oh my goodness. We were talking for like a while, and there was no yawns, and then all of a sudden, I will say, I did say at the beginning of the episode, it's
the sleep schedule.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Where it's just I've been going to bed around 11, getting up around 6, and it's just like this isn't bad. And then this past Thursday when we were recording this, the stream I was on, we were playing Pandemic Legacy. We finished that, and then we went to move on to, because we saw it a good amount of time, and so we played a new game, which, let me open up my Steam real quick. It's a really fun game. I'm just blanking on the name of it. As soon as Steam wants to open. Loading. LeBerry. This means warp.
Warp. With a P at the end?
Yes.
Okay.
Here, I'll send you the link here. So it's up to 4 players, where pretty much you're in charge of a spaceship, and like you're just kind of going through this. It's kind of like a roguelike or roguelite. Probably roguelite. Well, I mean roguelike, because you do lose everything, but you do unlock new ships and stuff. But it's for completely different runs. And you don't really have like permanent upgrades. So yeah, I think it's roguelite or roguelike. There we go. I think that's the main thing. But anyway, yeah, your crew is kind of just trying to make the spaceship survive throughout there. And so normally it's got like 4 sections as you kind of explore this maze and everything. And so we were doing that. The first one we did, it ended in like 20 minutes most, because we didn't really know what we were, one person knew what we were doing. And then we like put it together, like, okay. So I looked at the time, like, okay, we got an hour and a half. How much longer could this go? So we did that. We started going. I was like, man, this is cool. Everything's jiving. And then I look at the clock again, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like 11:20, and I'm like, all right, guys, like, I'm here to finish this, but I'm like, I'm starting to fade. And then I kept looking at the time out of the corner of my eye as it went from 11:20 to 11:40 to like finally like we finished at 12:11.
Oh.
12:20 around there, and I was like, my brain was like not on. It was just, and then I had to wake up early today for something. So it's just like, yeah. So it was just because now my brain is starting to get in, and body's starting to get into that schedule, which I was hoping it would. But I'm like,
as soon as your schedule is thrown off, now you feel like a zombie.
Yeah, it's like I can feel it a little bit in my eyes. So hopefully like tonight and tomorrow, I'll be able to kind of get the back adjusted, because tonight I'm switching. I'm doing a cooking stream tonight because tomorrow is when the girlfriend and I are hanging out. And I'm like, that is just going to be the better way to do it. So that way I can do all my cooking stuff, and it's just not something that's in the back of my head. I was like, I got to do this. I will say, and it's safe to say, because this episode will come out after, because if it wasn't obvious, the frequent listener is my girlfriend, and I know she listens to these episodes. She did laugh. Yep, she has told me multiple times that she's a huge Hop fan. Yep, it's like, in her opinion, Hop number 1, me second. She hasn't told me that, but I'm assuming.
You're waiting for the day.
Yeah. So it's just, that's what I told her. It's like, hey, you can come to PAX Unplugged, like the whole board game thing, and hey, you can meet Hop. Get me the tickets. What are you waiting for? It's like, it's just
okay. I had a weird, like, I have to get used to interacting with people again, because I think after a lot of the lockdowns and things, I got comfortable with like keeping things small and like not really being out of the house. So sometimes I feel like I'm still used to like when everyone wore masks and you could get away with a lot more. So I was stopping by somewhere new on my way back from doing some errands earlier because I was starving. I was like, I left one of my errands. I was like, okay, I'm going to go home and I'm going to make something. I'm going to be good. And then I was driving and I was like, I'm not good. I need to eat something. It's cloudy. It's dreary. I need something like warm and cozy. So I pulled over to a place that I had heard about, and they had like prepackaged soups that are like I read the ingredients on the soup label. I was like, I know what all these ingredients are. I'll bring this. And then I got some breakfast sandwiches. And when I got in line, someone was putting stuff away in a bag, and I couldn't tell if they were someone working at the store because they were just looking at me. And I was like, I finally like looked up at them, and they just went, I love your hair. And I was like, okay, thank you. Like, I wasn't prepared for like an interaction because I'm just still used to like when people would, 6 feet apart in distance. And so hearing that people want to meet me in person, like I haven't had to do like all that mental math since like PAX Unplugged like 3-4 years ago, like pre everything.
Now people want to meet me and things don't actually ever happen.
That was an interesting interaction. You got pulled away so fast.
Yeah, I was like, sweet. I got to go hang out with Hop and Strider for a bit. We haven't seen each other. And then it was like as soon as we saw each other.
You were like, oh, I see someone in a hoodie from like the old streaming platform. And they were like, funny, I ran into you, Itisdpayne. And you were like, huh?
What? I'm like, I'm just here to hang out with my friend. Yeah, we talk almost every week, but we only see each other digitally.
Yeah.
So... but what I was going to say is last week we were in New York. We were going around there, and we went to a Cantonese cafe diner.
Okay.
Really good food. I don't know if you've been to one before, but yeah, I mentioned it I was on an interview for another. It was the first time I was a guest to something, and I told them, like, this is weird. Normally I'm on the other. They're like, wow, you're on time, and, like, you know what you're doing, which is funny to say of how I was late today. But
you're fine.
Yeah. But they were just like, oh, okay. And they're just like, do you feel nervous at all or anything? I'm like, it's like, well, you probably don't feel nervous because you have your own podcast, And I'm like, yeah, I'm just weirded out because I'm normally in your guys' shoes. This is the first time anyone's actually invited me. Normally, everybody wants to talk with Hop. So, but yeah, but that was fun. But anyway, we were up there, and I think there's another thing about COVID and just like learning how to cook and everything is that like now I'm only able to handle like a certain amount of food, and restaurants give you so much food. So normally I don't end up eating everything at a restaurant.
The serving.
Yeah. So anyway, we were there and we both got dish, and she's like, oh man, I would like to get some French toast. And it's like, I looked it up and everything. It's like a Hong Kong style French toast. And she was like, oh man, I really want it. She's like, I don't have food. I was like, if you really want it, I'm not going to like judge you if you're going to eat it. And she's like, no, it's like, I'm feeling full, like too full and everything. I'm like, okay. And then she had to like deal with some stuff on the phone to where I was like, I know how to cook. So I looked it up and I was like, this is really easy to make. So tomorrow, I told her, like, when she comes tomorrow, which this episode, will be out after she has it.
Not ruining a surprise.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to make the Hong Kong French toast. And so I looked it up, know how to make it. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this. And unless she's doing, I'll find out if she's doing like the greatest live, because I did ask her that day. I was like, so what kind of French toast is it? And it's like, she's like, it's like Hong Kong style. I'm like, oh, okay. And like she like had to go back, and I just was like reading through. I'm like, all right, that's not terrible. So I have everything there, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I told her, I'm like, hey, let's do this Sunday, so that way, like, we can just relax and not have X, Y, and Z to do. Like that's when I was checked with you. I was like, can you do Saturday instead of Sunday? Mm-hmm. And everything. I was like, okay, and I'll just move the cooking stream to Saturday, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. And so I told her that, and I'm like, well, I still have something I want to make you. And it's like, it won't take super long. She's like, okay. And she's been saying all week, and she's like, I can't wait for the instant noodles you're going to make me. And I'm like, why do you think I'm making you instant noodles? And it's like, well, he said it's going to be something fast, and I can't think of anything else that's fast that's made. And I'm like, do you think I'm going to hype up instant noodles?
Hey, you might make a ramen egg. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So I don't know, but like, if this turns out halfway as good as it does in the pictures, I'm gonna be like, well, that's gonna be way better than your instant noodles. I'll find out. I'll have an update next episode. So
exciting.
Yep.
Tune in next episode to find out how the toast turned out.
Yep. Next preview. She died.
I have terrible news.
Yep. Who knew? So, but yeah. So anyway, that whole fun thing. It was just cracking me up. I don't even know how we got here, but it was just like.
It's totally fine. I don't think we talked much about Courage, but that's okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a quick rush of just because it's one of the things like to answer the one because I think the question I know how you got here because it's like, would you keep a duck? But I will say this whole episode, like both these episodes, I think would be fine to show the niece. It's just
you remembered my other usual question. Look at you.
I know I remember things. I just want to know if you would bring it up. But yeah, because both of them are just kind of slapstick. They're very Looney
They're pretty
Tunes.
straightforward. They're not as like particular as like what was the one episode where we said like some of the themes were a little bit like might be over her head. I feel like there was one recently. The directors maybe.
Oh yeah, everyone wants to direct, and I don't know, the Hunchback of Nowhere might also.
Oh
be.
yeah, that one was just sad. That one's not really.
Probably both of those things, and The Gods Might Be Goosey, like both those.
That one's just funny because he honks.
Yeah.
That might get our attention.
But yeah, so we got those, and then, well, next week we have Heads of Beef. Beef. And Club Cats, both spelled with K's. Good thing they didn't have another K word.
Dun dun dun.
My brain heard you that, and then for some reason it went to like what the Law and Order bum 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 bum. But anyway, that is Courage the Cowardly Dog. We only have 3 more episodes left
because we're only watching season 1 in this stint.
Yes, we learned our lesson with Gravity Falls.
I will just say as a little aside, I went to my horror book club last week, and someone was wearing a what's the name of the town? The first town in like the second episode of Over the Garden Wall with the pumpkin people. Pottsville?
I think so. I'm looking it up real quick.
I'm a fake fan. I don't remember.
Let's see. Hard Times with the Huskin' Bee. Pottsfield.
Yeah, they had a Pottsfield sweater, and I complimented them on it, and I was like, I haven't started my Over the Garden watch yet, but it's been pretty gloomy these past couple of days. It could be a good time to start my rewatch for the year. And they said on November 3rd, I think it was, it's apparently the 10-year anniversary of the show, so they've leaked some stop motion work related to it that the person said they don't know if it's a short or if it's something fuller length, but
I didn't realize that's been out for 10 years.
I know, but bonus episode potential.
Yeah. I don't know. It has been kind of wet and gloomy here, but it's still warm. Yeah. Like it was starting to get cool. I think it's just because of the Hurricane Helena. I think that's what it is.
Through Florida right now.
Yeah, it's pushing up all the armpit heat from down there. I don't know why it came out like that, but it did. So I'm wondering if after the hurricane finishes, if like we're gonna get the nice cool weather. But we normally in this area where we're located, we normally get like a heat wave like in September,
right before it flops to fall. Mm-hmm.
So like that's
I sent you a screenshot.
I just realized I sent the link not to you but to J2.
Did he ignore it?
He didn't see anything. Like I just realized. There we go.
That's fine.
There's that. I was like, I don't see a screenshot. Let's see.
Yeah, it's a tweet from Cartoon Network that says dancing in a swirl of golden memories ... and an emoji for fall leaves and a frog, and it says a little gift from the unknown to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Over the Garden Wall. Stay tuned, wayward souls. And it does look like a stop motion still.
It'd be great if they released a physical copy of it again.
That would be nice. But in any case,
I'll buy
it. Keep an ear out for what we're doing. Like we said, we're going to wrap up this Courage the Cowardly Dog Season 1. Then after that, we're going to start going into a different holiday series before we go into the next year. Dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun. It has nothing to do with Nightmare Over Christmas or Nightmare Before Christmas. I just am planning on buying the Blu-ray.
But in any case, yeah, thanks again for listening. We always appreciate it. Feel free to like, share, review, comment. I said share too early, but also all of those help us.
Yeah. Or you could be one of the many comments that I will say right now. I don't know if we have any new comments. Like this one right here. First. It's the same one I sent you the one time. Anyway. We have fun here. Anyway, that's it. Y'all have a good night, morning, 11sies, whatever.
Witching hour.
Peace.